and Patrina White McClure here on WCEG Digital Media Enterprises. We have a very, very, very special guest. But before I introduce her, I would like to tell you that you can view all of WCEG's shows on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, Roku TV, Apple TV, and I think, did I say Instagram? You can go there too. But we want to thank you for being loyal supporters of our community empowerment group, our worldwide community empowerment group, and we empower you through information. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest on today, Anne Elizabeth Calixte, because she can be found on social media using those different names. And we want to say, welcome, Miss Anne. Thank you for being a part of Church Biz on today.
Thank you for having me. Good
Oh,
morning.
good morning. All right. Now, you are employed for Kennedy Memorial Gardens in Ellenwood, Georgia. And how did you get into this particular work?
So I got into this particular work at a very young age. It was a dream. So I was 13 years old and my grandmother passed away. My mom's mom actually passed away. And my mother's side of the family is Haitian descent. So it is very cultural when it comes to actually planning things and stuff. So kids actually get exposed to things at a very young age. So at 13 years old, I wasn't really, playing with my friends all the time. I was going to funerals. So I was going to a funeral with my dad. Almost every other weekend. And I was just in the atmosphere, I was in the experience, and I got to actually see the funeral directors in different atmospheres and how they, treat people, how people get to grieve and things as such. So I got to see that very, very young. And to know children is to know that children are sponges. So whatever you soak into them, they're going to, take in. So death care was really a big thing for me. And then I started doing my research on it as I grew. So 14, 15 years old, I thought I wanted to be a chef. I thought I was going to be Emerald and Rachel Ray on, TV. And then life just took a complete turn once I got to college and I started to learn about economics. So growing up, I actually, 18 years old, I ended up putting in some interest into Clark Atlanta University. And that's what got me here to Atlanta. So Clark Atlanta actually invited me to the school to, do a tour and stuff like that. And then I actually got to see the economics department. And the economics department was really cool because all of my teachers were Black. So I was just like, wow, this is really really interesting that people actually get to teach you about money. And then once I started realizing about inflation and about how costs go up and a lot of times that, people of color aren't really paying attention to the costs going up. And one of the main costs that go up a lot are funeral and death costs. And what a lot of people don't know is with these prices changing so much, you have to have somebody to tell us. We have to have some type of advocate. And I wanted to be that advocate. I wanted to be that person that was going to let the world know, hey, we got to start pre-planning because this is something that affects every single person. It affects every single person that you meet. We're all going to pass away one day, and being able to talk to people and give them the comfort and knowing that I can help protect you in some way, knowing that I could do that actually just made me so happy. And it actually changed my life to this day, because being able to be the support for somebody at the worst time of their life is big to me. And I love what I do. I wouldn't change what I do for anything in the world. I always say if I become a millionaire tomorrow, I'll still go to work. And it's because I get to make you smile on the worst day of your life. Being able to protect families and let them know, hey, you don't have to do everything now. I know it's a very hard thought, but being able to talk to me is the first step. Being able to hear me is the first step, and knowing we don't really protect ourselves when it comes to death. Nobody wants to have the conversation. So I want to be that person to start that conversation for you. I want to be that person to make you comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And between life and school, they taught me those ways. And that's how I got into this business.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, life is filled with a whole bunch of uncomfortable situations and circumstances, but it's amazing how we talk about going to heaven, but we don't want to prepare for the journey. We might build up spiritually or grow and develop in that particular manner in our faith, but we don't really want to, like you said, talk about that uncomfort that comes with talking about the end or our demise. And so, have you found that some people don't want to talk about this particular piece because they have not yet fulfilled or found their purposes in life?
No. I think that people, well, I think that people don't want to have the conversation about it because nobody ever wants to talk about the end. Nobody ever wants to talk about completing things. A lot of times we
True.
can say everybody's responsible, but every single person in this life puts something off. There's two things in life that come when they want to without any type of control. One is love and one is death. Okay. You cannot control these things. They come into your life um, on their own. So, do you have to have a purpose in your life to want to talk about death? Absolutely not. Because there's a lot of people who don't have purpose in life and they're still living their life completely happy day by day, because you know why? The purpose of their life is to live. So everybody's different, and that's one thing that I did learn in this business, that you meet so many different people and everybody's in so many different circumstances. That is another reason why you're supposed to treat everybody the same. Treat everybody with the same respect, because you don't know what anybody's going through. So no, I do not believe that you have to find a purpose in life to actually have that conversation. I think the conversation should be had at any point, because unfortunately, there is no age on death. Um, you can pass away at an hour of an age, and you could pass away at 114 years old. Regardless of what you've done in your life, it's unfortunately going to happen. So yeah, I don't believe that you need a purpose at all.
All right. And you bring out an interesting point about people who don't like to talk about the end, like
Mhm.
whether it's the end of a job or a career or even the end of a relationship, because a life principle is behind that, which is basically what you're alluding to. Things begin and then they end. And we should develop the habit of learning how to process through, because it's a form of grief that comes attached with the end, including the end of life, the end of a passionate relationship, the end of whatever. And so and people have to find a way to move on. And with that being said, talking about the end, what are some of the myths that you have come across that are attached with the particular work that you're in? Because you're talking about the end, but what are some of the myths that you found that the general public tend to have when it comes to planning for a funeral?
Oh man, I could go on about a list of myths and
Well,
what
just
people
a few.
think. What people think. Well, the number one myth that I can say that I do get asked frequently is, are you guys going to take me out again? And it's what do you mean? Like, what people are under the impression that when they pass away, that, you know, the funeral home and the cemetery is going to come back. No, you're laying to rest. Okay. You're literally resting. You're sleeping. It's time to begin, you know, depending on the faith, it's time to begin the next journey. Probably the number one myth that, you know, are you guys going to use my casket again? No. That's it's a question that, you know, raises eyebrows a lot, but no, it's the number one. Another myth is that they're always going to get something wrong. People feel as if when they're planning funeral arrangements that they're always going to get something wrong. The reason why I do what I do is because when you pre-plan, you're giving your family the option to not get it wrong because you're the one filling it out. You're the one assisting them with everything. So a lot of people do feel bad at times when they're making arrangements and things as such because they feel as if they're not doing anything right. So being able to help you understand that no, mom came and gave us what she wanted. All you have to do is just follow along with the plan. So those are probably the top two that I can say that I get a lot of questions, but ooh, behold, there's so many myths that you get in death care. Um, but a lot of people are different when it comes to it. I can truly say it kind of depends on your faith. Probably depend on your faith. Your faith would always play the main, would be the main topic when it comes to death. That's number one. So.
Okay. And so I'm wondering if they're confusing the death preparations with the business side that comes with it, as far as the bequeathing of property, all of that. Are they getting those two thoughts confused? If is
Absolutely.
that leading to them feeling like I'm getting it wrong, I'm not doing it right?
Yes, a lot of people a lot of times will do so because say for instance, you know, I have a family member that's passing away and I haven't had a conversation with them on how they want it to go. So now I'm in the funeral home and I'm kind of going crazy because I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what that person would have wanted. What if I do everything that they don't want and then now, you know, everything is going to be on me for the rest of my life? That's not true. You know, that's not true. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you through that. We're here to help you through those thoughts, though that mindset of doing everything wrong. It's kind of a confusion, but again, that's what we have professionals for, to assist you in clarity.
Okay. And so part of this conversation includes you talking about wills and trusts and all of
Absolutely.
that. And
Absolutely.
and then you point them to the professionals that handle that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Well, you don't point them to the funeral directors and stuff. So what we do
No,
is
I mean like the lawyers to help them with their trust and all of that. Or is that a part of what you do?
So it's a part of what we do.
Oh, okay.
So say for instance, so you would get your wills and stuff like that done with an attorney and a lawyer and stuff. When it comes to file arrangements, you will have to do those legal things separately from the cemetery and the funeral home. But the cemetery and the funeral home has the resources to assist you with that. So I do
Okay.
work for a corporation that is called Dignity Memorial. So we have locations all over the Americas. And what we do is we help people pre-plan to help make those decisions. And what we do have is called a personal planning guide. So it is actually a booklet that walks you through how to pre-plan, what questions that your children or family may ask at that time. It'll have will information, one steps to walk you through it. We have living wills as well. So say for instance, someone is falling sick and they need to know who wants to make my arrangements, how I want them done. We provide you with these things so you can fill them out, so you can keep them in your possession, or you can give us a copy as well so we can have in our possession too. So when it comes to trust, closing accounts, financials, and everything, we ask you for those lists. We ask you for those accounts. We ask you for those things. So when the time does come, your children won't have that headache of, well, where's this account? Where's this account? How do I do this? How do I do this? No, we're going to tell you, hey, you need 4 death certificates because you have 4 accounts you need to close. The first one will be regular, and then we'll give you copies. So we actually do have packages to where your family will have nothing, absolutely anything to worry about. They just would just come in and lay you to rest. One thing that we do have is our slogan. It is life well celebrated. And it's because the only thing your family should be doing is celebrating the life that you lived, not worrying about if they got something right or wrong.
Awesome, awesome. Um, yeah, because it can be chaos trying to locate the documents to figure the money out, whereas you're taking care of that piece too. You're putting people on a plan for, let's say, monthly payments. Is that how that goes? Can you explain what Dignity does in regards to that pre-planning process?
Okay, yeah, no problem. So we are, I love to say it to my friends that I work for a protection firm. And the reason why I say that is because you say funeral home and everybody's just like, what? No, I work for a protection firm because when you come to me, you leave 100% protected. Okay. So the first step with pre-planning, as I always tell people, is the cemetery portion. And the reason why is because the cemetery portion is your final place of disposition. Regardless if you're buried or cremated, you must have a final place of disposition, whether it be in the ground, above ground, um, or have any or have how do you say it, we have things, we have benches, we have private mausoleums, we have so many different cemetery properties you can choose from, but that's your final place of disposition. Say for instance someone gets cremated, right, and then their family gets to take them home, but then that next family member gets cremated, and then that next family member gets cremated, and then there's no family members left, so who's going to hold the cremains, right? So that's why I say a final disposition is always important, because eventually we're all going to have to go somewhere. Okay. Now, when you're pre planning these things, you come in, you can place a deposit depending on your budget. We will let you know how things work and stuff depending on how you depending on how much you can pay, or depending on what you want to start with first. You do not have to do everything at once. And yes, you will pay
Mm,
monthly payment, and sometimes it depends on your age and your health. So the cemetery portion doesn't depend on your age and health, but the funeral portion does. And the reason being is because our funerals are insurance funded. So say for instance, you came into the funeral home, you were 100% healthy, but you just wanted to pre-plan because if you come in and you pay a small down payment, that cost is locked in forever. And 100 years down the line, when you eventually do pass away, that cost is the same. And Lord forbid, as soon as you walk out that door, you get into a car accident and you pass away. Well, you were 100% healthy when you came into this room. So guess what? The company is going to go ahead and pay that balance off for you, because you actually came in and you thought about it and you came to prepare your family financially and emotionally from that burden. So that's one thing that we do offer. Another thing that we do offer is, say for instance, you've had cancer, you've been sick, or you have some type of disease and things as such. So now we're running it like regular insurance. So you have a sustainability period, and then in that sustainability period, we go ahead and we pay a face amount based off of if you do pass away before that period. So again, your family's always going to be protected. Now, say for instance, someone is severely passing away, like they probably only have a couple of hours left, or things as such, you can still pre-plan. And that's what a lot of people don't know. People think that they have to, figure everything out and go straight to the cemetery and funeral home and fulfill that $25,000 bill. No, you still have the opportunity to come in and pre-plan. I always tell people, sick or not, go to the funeral home and ask them questions, because you never know what they may be able to do for you. And
mm, mm.
you never may know what they can change for you as well. We've dealt with families to where we've had to take care of the entire thing because the family, just couldn't afford it. Or we've had families who've had parties, and it's an entire celebration of life, because at the end of the day, it's what the decedent wanted. So yes, you can come in, you can make those payments depending on the plans that you decide. They can be insurance funded, or we have the option with no insurance, to where your family does have to pay the balance at the end. But guess what? That price was locked in. So if it was $12,000 today, you came and you put $100 down, you pass away 100 years from now, but you've been making those payments. Guess what? It's going to be $12,000 in 3036. Okay. It's not going to be whatever price that is.
All right. Now, I'm in our chat box, it says, does the superstition, this goes back to the myths, does the superstition of planning play or pre-planning play a role in the thought of pre-planning causes the death of the individuals?
That's another one. That is literally another one. Somebody came to pre-plan and they were just like, somebody said I'm gonna die in 9 years. And I'm like, I hope not. Well, that's pretty timely. Um, I would say, again, superstition has everything to do with your faith. If you believe that you coming into pre-plan is going to speed up your death, I'm going to tell you absolutely not. That's not true, because the only person that's in charge of death is one person, and that is the person in charge of everybody. But no, I that superstition does play a part, absolutely. But I can say it's all a personal thing. It's all about your faith. It's all about what you believe in. It's all about the day to day that you live, in your life. Um, some people are scared of snakes, so they'll never go to the zoo. So it's like we're all superstitious about certain things. So does it play a part when it comes to people not wanting to pre-plan? I would say probably 30% out of the 100. But again, they have to talk to the right person. And that's exactly why I
Mm-hmm.
do what I do. Because after you have a conversation with me, I don't think you'll be scared anymore.
Because dying is a part of life, it's a part of living. And then if you're a Christian and you read the Bible, we read in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 how there's a time to be born and a time to die. And so really the crux of one's life is basically what you just said, is in between that birth and death date. And so we have to focus on not only how we live, but also show love to your loved ones by doing the pre planning. We are in the heat of the Christmas season and we're spending all kinds of money buying stuff that we probably won't be using in about 2 to 5 years. And when we know we got to use this burial situation somewhere in the future. So why not set aside a few dollars and pay a monthly payment? We spend it on getting our hair done, our nails did, all of that. Get driving the fanciest of cars. None of that we could take with us, but we got to die. We got, in order to get to heaven, we got to go through death unless Jesus comes back. And so that's only wise is using wisdom to pre-plan. And then as you read in the Old and the New Testaments, it's a biblical principle that's not directly quoted, but it says, and they went to lay or be buried with their fathers. In other words, with their family members. And even Jesus borrowed Joseph of Arimathea's tomb because he was planning, he pre planned. So, everybody who is listening to this show, we got to get busy. Save your loved ones unnecessary stress and do some pre-planning. And it's not a subject that most of us want to talk about. That's the emotional piece of it. But wise business practices say, why would I want my loved one to pay $20,000 for a funeral when they can do 12 now and lock in the price? I'm just picking a number because you did. Uh,
Well, if you really wanted to talk about the average, you're getting into the main average now. So your average funeral cost on a low end would probably be, just the basic services and, taking care of your loved ones. So that'll probably cost you, between the $6,000, $7,000 range. And then once you start getting into the services, you start getting into the flowers, you start getting into the things, then you're getting into the tens, you're getting into the 20s, you're getting into these ranges, because not only are you trying to please your loved one who's passed away? You're also trying to please the living, because the funeral is for the living. We are celebrating the
Exactly.
life. We are celebrating the life of my loved one to give the living closure. And that's what I am. I'm the person to bring you from that bereavement stage to that healing stage. So what I'm doing is I'm telling you, hey, by protecting your family, you protect them every other way, right? You have car insurance on your kids' cars. You don't want them to have a car accident. You have insurance on your home if something were to happen. You have insurance on your phone, something that you 50% probably don't care for. And then I was just telling my mom the other day, you have insurance on the dog.
Wow.
But when we talk about something that's going to happen to everyone, we don't have insurance on ourselves. And a lot of people think I'm just, so crazy for doing this at such a young age. But it's like, why would I, when I passed away at 90 something years old, I've done the math already. My funeral is going to be $250,000.
Mm.
And that's if I don't pay now. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go down to the funeral home at 28 years old, and I'm going to go ahead and do my pre-plan. I'm 29 now, by the way. Just wanted to say. But it's like, at a young age, I want to show the people I've done it. So why are we not doing it all together? Why are we not, as a collective, talking about it? So what I do with Kennedy Memorial Gardens, and I am a part of a financial group called Wilson Group. And what we are a collective of funeral homes and cemeteries in the Atlanta South area. So Jonesboro, College Park, and Ellenwood, Georgia. We have a plethora of funeral homes and cemeteries that I work for. And it is amazing. We take care of people daily, and we are here to provide. So we have seminars for the community. We invite you out. Come eat. Come enjoy dinner with us so we can tell you the benefits of pre-planning. My
Hmm.
providers have benefits that supersede anybody. And if you don't mind, I'll give you one. And it's actually my favorite one. And it is called Grandchild and Child Protection. Remember earlier I said death has no age. And we all know that babies pass away, children pass away, and it doesn't align with the universe, but unfortunately it does happen. So what we do is we have a protection to say, hey there, Mrs. McClure, you have unfortunately lost a grandchild under the age of 21. And it could be a grandchild, it could be a step grandchild, it could be a fostered grandchild. But that's your grandbaby, okay? But you came and you did your pre-plan. You're still well and living, and you're still paying on it, right? Or you paid it off. Depends on however you want it to go. But that grandchild has passed away, okay? And they were under 21 years old. But guess what? Because you came and did your pre-plan, we're going to honor everything for that child for free. So
Wow.
that's one of the protection costs that we do, because we don't want you to have to go through that burden again. And guess what? We're going to match everything that you've done for that grandchild at no cost.
Now, it's amazing how you mentioned young people. When you talk to most pastors nowadays, they say that they bury more young people than they do older people. And so I believe it's critical. Most jobs, if anybody in our listening audience or is listening or have children and you're still working, you can get death coverage benefits through, or at least life insurance policies through your job to help cover your children, not just for your life, but usually less than $10, and but they are leaving because they're exposed to more, their lives are a little bit more amped up than ours were at those same ages, so they find themselves getting into a plethora of situations, and that might lead to their early demise. And so I encourage everybody, even talk with your jobs regarding the insurance policies at your job during the open enrollment. Some of us already have passed our open enrollment season, but you might want to go ahead and consider it, or talk to those who plan for your insurance to see if you can have it added on. They may say yes. Can't guarantee that, but try it. You just never know, especially if you got some young folk and they live in any kind of way. They out popping and dropping, doing the drug thing. We just gonna keep it real here on today. And they doing what can shorten the lifespan. And then we know what the Bible says. Anybody who doesn't obey their parents, they are destined for early death. It is what it is, you know. And so everybody prepare for your children. You, in this case, your grandchildren. Miss Calixte just told us how that Dignity or the Wilson Group helps to cover this. So now, when we get into this Dignity Memorial Corporation, we can go be buried anywhere we want to. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. So Dignity Memorial is a corporation that has over 1,400 funeral homes and cemeteries across of the U.S. Okay, we are also in Canada. We are also in Puerto Rico. So if you decide that you wanted to move from Atlanta to Puerto Rico, go ahead and take your plots with you. So we do offer these things. So yes, we have a plethora of locations. People are all over the place. So we're not just in Atlanta South. We have Stockbridge, we have Lawrenceville, we have Tucker. We have so many locations. I personally work for Ellenwood. And so I'm like the Decatur area. So yes, you can be buried anywhere. Um, just it's the it's the disposition place of your choice. It is where you want to be. Some people want to be close to home. Some people want to be near family. Me personally, my pre-plan is in Miami because my family is originally from Miami and I don't have family in Georgia. So me being buried here by myself is not an option.
Yeah.
And I did also hear you say insurance. So we kind of tend to tell people not to lean on life insurance for the final arrangements. And the reason being is because you didn't get the life insurance plan to pay for your funeral. You got the life insurance plan to leave for your family when you left. Now, when you go to the funeral home, we will allow you to use the life insurance at the time of need. But the life insurance is something for you. It's for your family. It's for your protection. It's for your kids to be able to do what they want to do after you pass away. It is not for them to pay with your casket or your casket, I'm sorry. So
I get
leave
it.
that insurance for them. We offer you an insurance on our end. And in that insurance, it is kind of like a life insurance plan, but it's not really. It's more so a funeral insurance because at the end of the day, you're protected. And say, for instance, something happened to you prior to you paying it off, we will fulfill the balance so your family doesn't have to worry about that. Um, Depending on, your health, your age, there's so many different things that we offer. All you have to do is go to your nearest funeral home and ask, or, I'm open. I love answering questions to people. They have the openness to call, email, text. However, we love to spread awareness on why it is important to pre-plan your arrangements.
So if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can give me a call. My phone number at the cemetery, I can leave it. It is 404-243-8900. My email address is my first name dot last name at dignitymemorial.com. Um,
You mean your first name or
yes, my first name. So Ann, ANN dot CALIXTE at dignitymemorial.com. Um, and yes, you guys are open. And the Kennedy Memorial Gardens is 2500 River Road, Ellenwood, Georgia. Come visit. We're there every day. Come visit, come ask questions. We have so many packets, tools, resources. If you can't come to Kennedy, say Ann sent you to Forest Lawn. There's Forest Lawn Memorial Funeral Home and Memorial Gardens in College Park, Sherwood Memorial Park in Jonesboro, Terra Garden Chapel in Jonesboro. All of the funeral homes and cemeteries that we represent are available and open to you to answer those questions. If you ever see a Dignity Memorial sign, stop, go in, ask, can I get a packet of information just so answer some questions. And our number one people that a lot of times our veterans don't even know their benefits, or they don't know what their families are entitled to. They don't know what they can and can get for serving this country. Go in and ask those questions. um a lot of people may be uncomfortable doing it because it's the funeral home and the cemetery. But one thing that I do like to tell people, it's not about you coming in, planning the end. It's about you starting something new. You're starting to learn something else, because once you learn about it, you're going to want to go tell somebody else about it. Because now you just protected yourself. Why not protect everybody else? Let's all spread the awareness of protection, because I think it's important for us to know that if we can get it now at a better cost, why wait?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And please repeat your email address again.
My email address is ann.calixte@dignitymemorial.com.
Awesome. Last week, we funeralized one of my god sisters, Ms. Opal Venice Page Miller. And when she was small, her mother bought funeral plots for her, her siblings, as well as herself and their dad, and paid $300 per plot.
Wow.
Now that's what, 5,000?
Depends on the plot.
Yeah, yeah, and the location where people live, because my mother was recently funeralized in Maryland,
Mm.
and that was 6,000 and some change. Well, like about 6,700.
Wow.
That was just for the plot. And
Yes.
then up there, they even have for sale signs in cemeteries, like how houses have for sale signs. Up north, they have for sale signs in the cemetery with the prices on them. So this is a real business, and like you said, depending on what you want, go for it. But don't leave that cost for your loved ones if at all necessary. If you're living your best life, or like I say, your blessed life, bless your family members and take some of the stress off of them, because I'm sure you have a gazillion stories on how some people have family members have broken up because they failed to plan in the pre-planning process. I'm sure the pre-planning eliminates a lot of that, but when people don't plan for their final resting place, um, families don't always keep in touch with each other. It was so much pain in the process. They're already dealing with the grief of the loss of the loved one. Then everybody want to start throwing darts and throwing hands and all of this stuff, and this stuff happens. Do you have any stories on witnessing some of that outside of the pre-planning process?
So I actually do. And it's it's not really my personal story, but it's more so of a friend who's passed away. And it kind of just showed me how much more I need to get out into the community and speak to everybody, because
Mm,
again, 29 years old here, okay? No children, but I have friends with children. We are still working, we're living every day. And I don't think sometimes people realize the day to day things that we do that are just so normal, but kind of something can happen, right? So, what happened was I had a friend of a friend passed away, and they could not afford for the funeral and the cemetery arrangements. Now, the unfortunate part about it is, at the time of need, at any funeral home and cemetery, the cost is due. So, for the services to commence, you must pay, right? Whereas pre planning, you have 10 to 15 years to 20 years to pay off all of this stuff. You have your rest of your life to pay off all of this stuff. So, when you're in the predicament where 10 years ago, I was 30 years old, I could have put $100 down and been paying $40 a month to been finished in the next 5 years. And the next 5 years, I add something else. And the next 5 years, I add something else. Nobody sees it that way. They see it as, when the time comes, I'm going to deal with it. But if you really think about the people in the situation who are actually going to be taking care of it, can they deal with it? Because you're not the one dealing with it, they are. So yes, I've been in a situation where people can't afford to put their loved one away because the money is due at this second. At this time, we must pay or we cannot have the services on Friday because guess what? The services are needed now. But when you pre-plan, the services are not needed anytime soon. You have all that time to make those small increments of payments. And another thing that I think that people should do is read the newspaper. A lot of people don't do that anymore. All that information's in there to let you know that the funeral home is offering these things. We had a breast cancer walk in October. I had a plethora amount of pre-planning information. I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't know that breast cancer is also high in men. Very, very high in men. So why are we're trying to spread awareness to let you guys know, don't wait to the last minute when it comes to the cost because yeah, I got life insurance. It'll be able to pay for it. Okay, well, that life insurance plan right now is probably $20,000. That can pay for something today, but in the next 50 years, that won't be able to pay for anything. Because if we're all paying attention to the way the world is going, every 7 to 10 years, everything increases. Absolutely everything. Do you guys see the price of eggs right now?
All right, we have another question in
Yes.
our chat. It says that credit card debt, high interest rates for years. I'm assuming that they're saying that some people are choosing to on pay for funerals using credit cards, and these high interest rates just keep everybody locked in using credit cards to pay for funerals. Now, hopefully, the preferred thought is if you're going to use credit card to pay for this, that the person that's dying or has died has you on their insurance policy so that you could get some of that money back to pay off the credit card. But chances are that's not happening. Okay. And so the pre-planning would, like you said, lock in your price, whether they go to Dignity or anyone who offers any type of these similar services. This is industry wide. If you can pre-plan for your funeral, you're going to have your prices already set. Why not just hand that over along with the will, or
Power of
the
attorney.
power of attorney and the trust funds, all of that, and everybody. I'm planning on in 2026. My goal is to have a pre-planning thing set in place and a trust in place because the wills don't cover everything. It's a lot of a backstory, but you would have to start investigating that because your family still could end up losing out with a will if you don't have that trust because they got to pay all the taxes, all of that, blah 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 blah. But that's my goal for 2026 to get the pre-planning going because I'm excited about going into heaven. When it's my turn, I'm trying to be a faithful servant of the Lord Jesus Christ, and he guarantees me a right to eternal life because I believe in him. I
Amen.
accepted him as my savior. So
Amen.
why would I leave my kids to incur a debt and they may not be able to financially afford it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So because we don't know when we're leaving, we should be prepared. And you already basically said that. And so we got 15 minutes left. What are some of your thoughts that come to mind?
Some of my thoughts would be, don't be scared.
Mm,
There's nothing to be scared of.
okay.
Um, there's absolutely nothing to be scared of. Just walk in the funeral home. A lot of people are uncomfortable because of past experiences. Okay. Dignity Memorial has counselors prepared to help you through that. If you had a bad experience with somebody, well, guess what? Your experience will be nothing the same here. We are here to help you. We are here to walk with you through this. We are here to be with you every step of the way. And the reason being is because something brought us here too. Something brought us to this company. Something brought us to want to serve you. And so if we're here to do so, let us do so. Let us assist you into burying your loved one. This is probably the worst day of your life. Not only are you having to worry about the cost of what you're having to come up with, you're having to worry about clothes, you're having to worry about makeup, you're having to worry about the people coming, you're having to worry about attire, you're having to worry about food. Food. Food is a big thing.
It is. It
Okay?
is.
And guess what we
Yeah.
do? We take care of everything down to the food. All you have to do is show up.
Really.
That is all you have to do is show up.
Mm.
Show up and we'll ensure that you don't have anything to do. Okay? We have funeral directors that are the best. I've been in the rooms with some funeral directors that have been so compassionate that I thought it was my loved one. And I was like, oh, yes. This is, and I
Yeah.
love that though. It's the beauty of life. It's the beauty of emotion, and a lot of people are afraid to step into that boat of emotion. And emotion is human. You're entitled to your emotion. And it's okay. If you come in the funeral home while you're pre-planning, you start crying, it's okay. We'll cry with you. But you just walked into a place where you just started the first step of another chapter of your life. Death is another chapter. It is not the end. We're just going somewhere
Right.
else, you
It's
know?
just a mechanism through which we have to travel into eternity.
And I don't
And
know any faith.
yeah.
I don't know any faith that says after you die, that's it.
Exactly. Well, there
So
are some out there. There
that we
are
don't know.
some.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
that. But the ones,
So,
mm-hmm.
but a real one would teach you that this side of existence is temporary.
Absolutely.
Eternity is forever. And
Absolutely.
so, like the Bible tells us, we have to work out our faith with fear and trembling. In other words, we have to live what we say we believe, because we will be held accountable eventually by God. And it's going to be on his terms, not ours. Because we like to make
Absolutely.
up some stuff, which is why some people don't go pre-plan. We make up some stuff in our heads, and we're like, no, I'm not even going to deal with that right now. But right now might show up, okay? And then it'd be too late. But now, do you also provide grief services, and for those who are afraid or have had bad experiences in the past, any type of counseling services to help guide them through those particular negative emotions?
Absolutely. We have a plethora amount of grief counselors to help you with anything. And one thing that I do love that our grief counselors do is something called the Compassion Helpline. Um,
Mm.
when you lose somebody, and a lot of people don't know how to stand on their emotions, but when you lose somebody, you shut down. Okay, you shut down. That's probably the first thing. You shut down after you try to take care of everybody else, right? So who's going to take care of you? Who's going to be your listening ear? Who's going to be the person to hear you cry? So we do have people that are available to you 24/7 to assist you through your grief. We have the counselors to walk you through the walk of bereavement to that healing stage. We provide you with anything you need. We are available 24/7. If I meet with your family, please feel free to call me at 3 o'clock in the morning to tell me what your thoughts are, because I'm here for you. That's the point. We're not here for your business. We're here to walk you through pre-planning. We're here to walk you through protection of your family financially. If people could think, they could be living today. Have their perfect Starbucks day, go to the gym, go home and everything, have dinner with their family and their kids. But unfortunately, when you get home, somebody passed away and you are in charge. Do you have everything to take care of it right now? The first answer is going to be no. It's always going to be no, because that person did not pre-plan.
Now, do you also, or your whole team, do you also counsel your potential clients on the need to communicate their wishes with their family, emphasize that or overemphasize it? Because some people are, oh, I got all my kids listed, but they don't know where their information is. Then
Absolutely.
they got to
So,
tear up your house to find it. Okay.
hmm
Then everybody got to read through everything to figure out who's on which policy, this, that, and the third.
hmm
And when it could be something organized, because if you got your bills organized, this should be a part of that.
Absolutely. So, one thing that we do have is called a personal planning guide. That personal planning guide is literally the book to walk you through it, okay? The first step that we have in the personal planning guide is to reflect. We sit, we talk about your life, we counsel you. Remember, I was talking about those scared people. If you don't want to come to the funeral home, well, guess what? I'll come to you and I'll show you everything on the computer so you don't have to actually make that step in there. The first step is reflection. We reflect over your life and we ensure that we went over every detail, right? The second step will to be record. So now let's open the book up and let's actually write this stuff down. Your favorite color was purple throughout your entire life. Let's write that down. Let's ensure that we have every single detail of your life in this book, okay? The third step would be to secure. Let's talk about, of course, the emotional and the financial burdens that it'll cost on your family. And the last step is share. We are telling you to take this book to each and one of your family members and show them this. Show them that you've done everything for them in this book. Because
Okay.
I don't know one child, sister, cousin, nephew, or anything that would not take a pre-planned arrangement from their superior, their loved one, their mom, their dad, their uncle. Hey, I just went ahead to the funeral home and cemetery and I paid everything for you. Here's everything in this entire book. And we have a copy as well because we're doing it with you. We're taking our copies. So at the end of the day, all we need you to do is please go talk to your family. Ensure that you're talking to your family. Me, I do the extra step. I actually mail your family letters and I let them know, hey, this is so and so's prearrangements. And she would actually like to
Mm.
let me let you know this is what she's prearranged. This is what you're supposed to do from step one to step two. I'm going to keep a record of this and you're going to keep a record. And this is how we do it. So we do these for every single family.
Beautiful. Now, I do want to mention at least four of five grief stages because I can't think of the fifth element. I think that people need to be aware of that because emotions, we've been made in God's image. So, whatever feelings that you have, God has those as well.
Mhm.
And so, a part of the grief process includes the initial step is shock or disbelief. You can't believe that this has happened. My loved one has passed away. And so they struggle with the shock, but then they have to, and all of these are interchangeable. Okay. So you don't go through one, two, three, four, five. But so we got the shock and the disbelief, but then the second stage is anger. And there are two phases of that. The anger turn inward and the anger turn outward. And that's when you start to blame, you know, the the ambulance should have got there quicker, or this person should have done this, or they could have called 911 in time. And we got to be careful because this is where complicated grief begins to come in. Okay. And so you're angry at yourself. I shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know. And then I skip number three. I got to go back and look at my dad's dissertation because is used in colleges actually. And so I got to go back and listen to that, you know. But anyway, I mean, read that. But grief, the actual crying, the emotion of it, you're going to cry, you're going to hurt. This is a part of it. And you can't put a time limit on it. However, about a year out, your emotions should start to kind of normalize. Okay. You're going to be hurting, but if you're just as miserable as you were at first, you have to go get some professional help. Do not stay miserable for the rest of your life, because I know your loved one would not want that for you. So go get the professional help. If you are emotionally disabled, you can't get life together, because depression is a part of the process. You're going to go to the lowest of your lows. But with God's help, he's going to help bring you up, okay, in due season. But healing takes time. And then we have the resolution of our grief, where we make a decision to survive our loved one. Okay. Because most of us who don't get over it, we decided not to get over it. And so we stay sick emotionally. Then we get ill. Then we end up grieving our own selves to death. But resolution says death is a part of life, dying is a part of living. And so, in order for me to successfully navigate my future, I got to heal from my past. So I wanted to put that out there, because there's some people still struggling with the loss of a loved one. You're not going to forget about it. I still love my mom. I still love my dad. I got so many loved ones in heaven now. I pray often whenever they cross my mind. I say, Lord, tell them I said hi, because they're living with him. They're alive. And believe it or not, they're in heaven rooting us on. They're saying, baby, hang in there. The best is yet to come. So hang in there. Hang in there. You might have lost a loved one, but you're not the first and you won't be the last. So you got to survive. You got to hang in there. You got to fight through the pain. You got to ask God to heal you. What's the song? It's an old hymnal that says, there's no hurt that heaven can't heal. That is true, because all healing comes from Jesus. So everybody hang in there. Start your pre-planning process. Contact Ann Calixte over at Dignity Memorial. Calixte, Calixte at memorialgardens.com. She'll get you started there. Or if that's not your preferred provider, go somewhere. Get it out the way, y'all. God will bless you. Okay? Because you're prepared to go into eternity. And just in case you're not born again or you're not sure of your eternal destination, in order to go to heaven, you got to believe that Jesus is the Son of God and that God raised him from the dead 3 days later. It's a whole process with it, but if you find you a church that teaches the Bible, not one that goes to show out and be a social club, but one that teaches the true word of God, and you read it too, because they're not only supposed to help teach you, but they're to confirm what you study on your own. Okay? That part, because you're developing a relationship with God right now, because we don't know when we're getting ready to die. Okay? So we got to be prepared for eternity. In addition to dying, be prepared for eternity. Only two spots you're going to go, either heaven or hell, boo. You make the decision now. Just because you want to go to heaven doesn't mean you're going, but you got to receive Jesus, who said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one goes unto the Father except through me. He became the perfect sacrifice for all of humanity's sins. So you don't have to earn your way into heaven. You just got to believe and receive. Believe in Jesus and then receive him. And so I just want to go ahead and end on that note. Miss Ann, I want to thank you for being our very, very, very special guest here on Church Biz today. We're in the season of giving. Somebody give a funeral plan to somebody else. If you don't want to do it for yourself, give it as a gift. Okay? You're trying to find something to give somebody that they don't have. I don't think a lot of people get these for Christmas. Get a pre-planning service for your eternal or earthly end, your earthly destination, because you're going into eternity after this. Everybody, I just want to thank you for tuning in on to Church Biz. Again, thank you, Miss Calixte, for being a part and hipping us, giving us the 411 on why we need to pre-plan. Just eliminate the stress for your loved ones. If you want your family members to survive you, this is the way to go. And again, ask the Lord to lead and guide you. And I always tell you one thing: take care. Take care of you, your mind, your body, and your spirit. But today, also your final resting place.